On October 27, 1966, Walt Disney stood in the middle of a soundstage on the Disney Studio lot in Burbank, California. He was about to record a promotional film outlining his ideas for a brand new theme park, this time located in Central Florida. Walt had proved everybody wrong 11 years earlier when Disneyland opened and became a smash success. He was attempting to do the same thing but at a much larger scale this time around with his Disney World project. In the film, after he is introduced by the narrator, Walt goes in detail about the ideas of Disney World.
The most exciting, the most important part of our Florida project, in fact, the heart of everything we'll be doing in Disney World will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow. We call it EPCOT, spelled E-P-C-O-T, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Here it is in larger scale. EPCOT will take its cue from the new ideas and new technologies that are now emerging from the creative centers of American industry. It will be a community of tomorrow that will never be completed, but will always be introducing and testing and demonstrating new materials and new systems. And EPCOT will always be a showcase to the world for the ingenuity and imagination of American free enterprise.
As you can tell from this film, Walt was extremely excited about the possibilities of these ideas. He was particularly excited about EPCOT. Only a few days after filming the EPCOT film, Walt went to the hospital. At this visit, doctors spotted a spot on his lung. Walt Disney had lung cancer. EPCOT was still extremely important to Walt. According to Roy, Walt was planning EPCOT in his hospital bed. He used the ceiling tiles to map out his imagination, each tile representing 1 square mile. At 9:30 a.m. on December 15, 1966, Walt Disney died. As news spread across the company, eventually the world, the last thing that was on people's minds was Disney World. Everyone was hesitant to continue work on it. As the project's future was uncertain, Roy O. Disney decided to come out of retirement and pushed hard to make Disney World a reality. All of his hard work to make his brother's dream come true paid off when Magic Kingdom and the now renamed Walt Disney World opened on October 1st, 1971. Disney's board of directors were against the idea to build EPCOT. They felt it was too risky to build a city, especially since Walt was gone. Despite Roy insisting that EPCOT be built, the board stood strong and EPCOT was not built. Roy O. Disney passed away in December 1971. It wasn't until 5 years later in 1976 when Disney CEO at the time, Card Walker, would want to revisit the EPCOT idea. The board still refused to build a city, but a new idea to create a theme park that would have the same ideas and values as the original EPCOT's concept was proposed. Everyone agreed that the original concept would not work, and a theme park was the compromise. 6 years later, EPCOT Center would open on October 1st, 1982. This video is brought to you by Rogue Energy. When I'm up in my room editing, writing, or gaming, I love to have a good drink with me. It keeps me focused and relaxed. Rogue Energy is absolutely my go-to drink. It is much healthier than any other energy drink. It has 0 sugar, it is gluten-free, and paleo-friendly. They have 16 delicious flavors available like Radiant Rush, Rocket Pop, Sour Candy, Grape Popsicle, and many more. Rogue also has hydration available with flavors like Fruit Punch, Rainbow Candy, and Strawberry Bubblegum. Head on over to rogueenergy.com to get your energy or hydration drinks, starter kits, or shaker cups, and use code BBDIZ10 for 10% off your entire order. Thank you to Rogue Energy, and again, use code BBDIZ10 for 10% off your entire order. Now, let's get back to the video.
The 21st century begins October 1, 1982. EPCOT Center, Walt Disney World.
The original Epcot Center was just about the future. It was about your future. Plans for the new theme park included pavilions that would showcase ideas and technology of different industries. You had energy, motor/transportation, a showcase of past technologies, everyday living, imagination, and agriculture. The agriculture pavilion would showcase Earth's ecosystems. The exterior of the pavilion would be a series of crystalline greenhouse structures. There would be 3 different entrances for the greenhouse biomes. The main attraction would be called Blueprints of Nature. It would be a carousel theater show with a character named the Landkeeper. Guests would board hot air balloon vehicles and travel through the 4 seasons and end in the greenhouse. Guests could then access the Harvest Theater or take the trail up to the main observation tower. When Kraft signed on to be the sponsor of the pavilion, some of the original plans were scrapped and a new theme was created. Now the pavilion would be themed to show more agricultural and nutritional ideas. Blueprints of Nature was turned into a boat ride through the greenhouse that would show guests new agricultural techniques. Some elements of Blueprints of Nature, like the Landkeeper character, would inspire Tony Baxter while creating the Dream Finder and Journey into Imagination. The hot air balloon idea wouldn't completely go away, as 3 hot air balloons would hang from the ceiling of the pavilion. These hot air balloons originally represented the 3 main food groups. Later, 2 more balloons would be added to represent 4 seasons and 1 that has the world on it. The Land Pavilion opened on October 1st, 1982 with the rest of Epcot Center. When you first enter the pavilion, on your right is the Harvest Theater. An 18-minute film called Symbiosis was shown here. Symbiosis showed the technological process in the environment and its relationship with people. In the waiting area outside of the Harvest Theater is a beautiful mural on carpet on the wall. A few steps away from the Harvest Theater is the Good Turn restaurant. The restaurant is unique because of the way its dining room rotates slowly as guests eat. There are great views of both the pavilion itself and a few show scenes from the boat ride attraction. The other restaurant is located downstairs and was called Farmer's Market. The food court was decorated to look like an American farm. The tables are shaded by umbrellas and there is a large fountain in front of Farmer's Market. As we make our way down the stairs, we are now in front of the entrance to Kitchen Cabaret. This show opened with Epcot Center on October 1st, 1982 as well. The pre-show area looks like an alley, and the stage door was actually the doors to the theater. Posters on the wall teased the performers waiting inside. Kitchen Cabaret was an animatronic show hosted by Bonnie Appetit. She sang Mealtime Blues and then sang another song, Chase Those Mealtime Blues Away, with the Kitchen Crackpots, a band composed of 5 members, a mayo jar, a barbecue sauce bottle, a cheese container, a mustard bottle, and a salsa jar. Bonnie then introduces Mr. Dairy Goods and his Stars of the Milky Way, who perform in a fridge. The Cereal Sisters sing Boogie Woogie Baker Boy. The comedy group Ham and Eggs then come out. The Calendar Combo and the Fiesta Fruit, along with Bonnie Appetit, perform Veggie Veggie Fruit Fruit. This song is the most popular and iconic song of the show. Of course, Mr. Broccoli is also a member of the Calendar Combo. 28 animatronics were used in the show. After the show ended, guests could purchase Kitchen Cabaret merchandise, including plushies of Mr. Tomato, Mr. Eggplant, Mr. Pineapple, Mr. Broccoli, and Mr. Banana. To the right of the Kitchen Cabaret Theater is the Listen to the Land boat ride. The original version was a bit different to the ride we have today. Listen to the Land was narrated by a live cast member at the front of the boat. The beginning of the ride started with the Symphony of the Seed scene. Listen to the Land was part dark ride and part tour of the Epcot Greenhouse. This soundtrack was a song of the same name. After Symphony of the Seed, the ride continued through different climate areas. In the desert scene, there are 3 buffalo animatronics that were actually made for Western River Expedition, a ride that was designed to be in Magic Kingdom, but was canceled very late into production. After the dark ride scenes, the boat would continue into the greenhouse. Each section of the greenhouse were originally divided into houses, tropics, aquacelli, desert, production, and creative. The ride ended by showing how science can change the future of the environment. A revolving drum display showed rows of lettuce being spun, a method that could be used by NASA in space. As the Listen to the Land song begins playing again, guests can see a lab and to the left of the boat, colorful art. Listen to the Land was the e-ticket attraction of the land, and the main reason why most people came to the pavilion. It also grew some of the food that would be served in the restaurants. Greenhouse tours have always been offered at the land. The name of the tour was Tomorrow's Harvest. Most people just call it the Harvest Tour. In 1986, the Good Turn restaurant was renamed to the Land Grill Room. In 1993, the first major refurbishment of the pavilion happened. 1993 was also the year that EPCOT Center itself started to change. The name of EPCOT was about to be changed to EPCOT 94, and many of its pavilions, including the land, were about to be changed. On September 26, 1993, Kraft withdrew its sponsorship. Nestle took over sponsorship duties and co-financed the refurbishment that began on September 27, 1993. The pavilion itself received a new color palette, brighter colors were brought in and gave the pavilion a modern look. Along with the refreshed pavilion, nearly all of the attractions were altered or renamed. Listen to the Land reopened on December 10, 1993, now called Living with the Land. The Symphony of the Seeds scene at the beginning of the ride was replaced with a new rainforest scene. The end of the attraction now featured pictures of farmers from around the world and a new soundtrack. The Listen to the Land song was replaced with that banger that we all know today.
Please keep your hands and feet inside the boat and remain seated until the boat comes to a complete stop.
The Greenhouse Tour's name was changed to simply Greenhouse Tours. The Farmers Market had its name changed to Sunshine Season Food Fair. The main seating area was painted a dark blue, and 5 hot air balloons now hung from the ceiling. The Land Grill Room became Garden Grill. This restaurant is still turns and is a character dining location now. Broccoli & Co., the Kitchen Cabaret gift shop, was closed in 1993. Kitchen Cabaret itself would close on January 3rd, 1994. The new show, Food Rocks, would be another animatronic food show, but this time it was an all-star benefit concert to promote healthy eating. You know, I've never realized it before, but Food Rocks is heavily inspired by the Live Aid concert. The show featured different acts singing parody songs of popular rock songs. The show is hosted by Food Rapper, and if you don't believe that Live Aid inspired this lineup, check this out. So, the Utensils perform We'll Make It Count in the Kitchen, a parody of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, who performed at Live Aid. The Peach Boys performed Good Nutrition, a parody of Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys, who performed at Live Aid Philadelphia. The Refrigerator Police performed Every Bite You Take, a parody of Every Breath You Take by the Police. Sting performed at Live Aid London. Peter Gabriel performs High Fiber, a parody of Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, whose bandmate Phil Collins both performed at Live Aid Philadelphia and Live Aid London. Excess performs We Love Junk, a metal song about unhealthy eating, and the only original written song for the show. Both Judas Priest and Black Sabbath played at Live Aid, and are both metal bands. The other performances in the show are Always Read the Rapper by Food Rapper, a parody of Tone Low, Funky Cold Medina. Just Keep It Lean by the Soul of Rock and Roll, a cover of Cher, the Shoop Shoop song. Tutti Frutti by Richard. Vegetables Are Good For You by Neil Musaka, a parody of Breaking Up Is Hard to Do by Neil Sedaka. Let's Exercise by Chubby Cheddar, a parody of The Twist by Chubby Checker. Just a Little Bit by the Get the Point Sisters, a parody of Respect by Aretha Franklin. Both Tone Loc and Little Richard actually voiced the characters who parodied their songs. While in development, Imagineers wanted to include Tina Turner as Tina Tuna. This character eventually became the Cher character. They also wanted Kiss to play the heavy metal band. Food Rocks had a very small budget, and some of the old set pieces from Kitchen Cabaret were used, like the fridge and the Mr. Dairy Goods animatronic, who was now the lead singer of the Refrigerator Police. Food Rocks kicks ass, despite the animatronics being almost cardboard-like.
Leave it to the rapper to explain everything. Searching for some lunch on a kitchen expedition. What you crave's in the microwave, but how about nutrition? A box, a can, a bag, a package on the table. Before you rip, have a bag or sip, check the contents on the label. A list to fill you in, a formula for feeding. In plain sight, it's in black and white, and it's fascinating reading. You got the information before you pull the cap or tear the bag apart. You gotta play it smart, you gotta read the wrapper.
Upstairs in the Harvest Theater, Symbiosis would have its final showing in 1995 and close. The film was replaced by Circle of Life, an environmental fable. This was a 20-minute film that starred Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba from The Lion King, and also animated at the animation studio at Disney MGM Studios. A year later, in 1996, the walking tour through the greenhouse was renamed to Behind the Seeds. This tour is still offered, and I highly recommend doing it. Food Rocks closed in 2004. The stage was walled off, but could still be accessed via urban exploring for years after. A bunch of the animatronics could be seen at the Mouse Surplus warehouse in Kissimmee. Peter Gabriel, Get the Point Sisters, and a member of Excess were at the Mouse Surplus. Neil Musaka was sold on eBay in 2006, and a bunch of the animatronics popped up on display at the Disneyland Hotel in 2014. Mr. Dairygood, Food Rapper, two members of Excess, Peter Gabriel, Neil Musaka were all on display. In 2017, Peter Gabriel was again sold online via the Van Eaton auction. The props and stage that were still in the land remain there. In 2003, Nestle renewed its sponsorship with an agreement that said they would oversee a refurbishment to both the interior and exterior of the pavilion. 2004 and 2005 brought the second major refurbishment of the land. This time, a new vibrant color scheme was brought to the interior, and the exterior was refreshed a little bit as well. The food court was completely redesigned, and was renamed to Sunshine Seasons. A new font was also introduced to the land's logo. Over in California Adventure, a new ride had opened a few years before, and it had been groundbreaking.
Hello, and welcome to Soarin'. My name is Patrick, and I'll be your chief flight attendant today. We'll begin boarding in a few minutes, but first I'd like to acquaint you with some important safety information. When the doors to your flight open, please take a seat and store all carry-on items in the under-seat compartment. This includes cameras, purses, hats, and, of course, these little beauties. Nice work, pal.
Soarin' over California allows guests to experience the sensation of flying in a hang glider over California landmarks. Due to the high cost of the first concepts for the attraction, Soarin' was about to be scrapped. However, Imagineer Mark Sumner used an old erector set to put together a model of the Soarin' ride system. He then presented this model to the team, and they liked it. Soarin' over California is an unbelievable ride and very successful. It was a no-brainer when Disney decided it was time to bring a new e-ticket attraction to the land to clone Soarin' over California. So that's what they decided to do. To bring the great attraction to the land, they needed to expand the pavilion. The queue and the attraction itself is actually an extension of the land. The old Food Rocks Theater was demolished, and the stage, like I said, was walled off. It was actually part of the queue until the women's bathroom was expanded. Soarin' opened on May 5th, 2005, alongside the rest of the land. The hang glider simulator attraction was also a big success in EPCOT. Around 2008, the live narrators were taken out of Living with the Land. A pre-recorded narrator now plays in the attraction.
In the desert, nature has created a very different, but no less beautiful living system. And while this arid landscape may seem lifeless, it is very much alive. The plants and animals that have learned to survive in these harsh conditions make use of what little water they can find and avoid the scorching rays of the relentless sun.
Chiquita sponsored Living with the Land for a while. Soarin' closed for refurbishment in January 2016. Also, the orange scent in the attraction is the same scent from Horizon. A new Soarin' film was shot and set to debut after the refurb. Soarin' Around the World opened on June 17, 2016. A new third theater was also added to the attraction. The original film does occasionally return to DCA, but hasn't been shown in EPCOT since 2016. The newest attraction in the land was when Circle of Life closed in 2018. A new nature documentary called Awesome Planet would replace it in the Harvest Theater. The documentary premiered in 2021. On February 13, 2009, Nestle stopped sponsoring the land. For most attractions in EPCOT, this typically means closure, but not for the land. The Pavilion is still sponsorless, but seems to not really need one. The land is still beloved by many, including myself. It's my favorite pavilion that is currently still open at EPCOT, and one that has stood the test of time, and one that will likely be open forever.
Choose right, you gotta use your head in the kitchen. With every bite you take, be good, eat right. Eating right is easy. Choose before you chew. We're waiting in the kitchen. Waiting in the kitchen for you.